Hello once more, everybody out there on the internet. I'm Dakian. This is Monday, the 31st of December 2018. Last day of December, last day of 2018. And I'm bringing you some delayed Christmas presents. These are the ones that were almost finished last week. Now they are completely finished with snow effects and everything. Here's the one with the spider bursting out the package. Maybe I should have had a higher contrast, made the package a lighter color. Like white, maybe? Oh well, hindsight is 2020. And here, this is obviously a mimic. A package turning into a monster. And this one has a lot of tentacles coming out of it. Again, looking at it right now, it looks a little bit dark. But again, this is partly because the lighting is bad in here. I also, this is not a newly completed figure. I went back and added some more effects to Santa here. Don't know if you can tell, but there's some more blood effects on the neck stump and also added onto the edge of the sword on both parts there. Hopefully that comes across. But I've been productive, and this is by far not everything I've finished painting. Now indeed, here we have even more wintry themed minis. And these are the last of that bunch from, let's see, yes, that Kickstarter from well, part of Europe, the Wicked Wonderland. Wicked Wonderland, I don't know. Anyway, this is the Snow Queen. I don't know why I went with the pink coat. I just felt like she should be even more pale than the traditional red. And as for the wolf and the bear, I've already painted so many realistic looking wolves and bears. I have a bunch of them I painted a few years ago in a naturalistic style, natural colors. So I went more fantasy this time and more like wintry. They're not quite. It's not quite a polar bear, but it's some sort of winter wolf and winter bear. I don't know if they look any good, but anyway, that's what my thought process. And then we have the ice demons. Hopefully these guys look a bit glittery. I went over them with some. I tried to varnish them so they will glint a little bit in the light. I'm not sure if that works. And we have this one. I considered mounting these on two different bases, but no. They look better together. And I know this is not exactly... The model is called an auk. I looked it up at the Great Auk, which is, I think, some sort of extinct animal. This is not exactly the way that they're supposed to be colored, but what the heck. Nobody's going to care. But I sort of like the way my ice demons came out. In the end, it was a bit back and forth. Wondering how much... I mean, the top highlight, of course, is always going to be white. So the question becomes, how deep do you make the deepest shade, and where do you place it, and how do you make the transition? That is the problem. But overall, I'm okay with them. And the final straw to break this year's back, to get me in the positive numbers for painted versus purchased. I did all of these winter adventures. They are complete, and I don't know if I can put them all in one shot. Yes, I can. And yeah, there's. It would take too long to show them all to you in film. I'll have still pics, so to show them all off. And I just went for a riot of different colors to make them look not bland and not be boring. I mean, there's some boring colors. There's some more like faded sort of military colors, but also some bright colors. Because you know, they're not going to be in camo gear, all of them. They're going to want to look good while they're out chasing monsters in the snow or something. And yeah, there were no real difficulties involved with these. These are like the middle miniatures. They're just good basic bread and butter sculpts. No, well, not bread and butter. Meat and potatoes. I was the metaphor I was going for. Yeah. So I can't really think of anything to say. Let's move on to what I still have in progress. We'll start looking at some works in progress, shall we? Here we have I forget what her name was. Some sort of post-apocalyptic warrior. Just some rough base coats to get an idea of what to paint her. I tried to make sense of the sculpt. I'm pretty sure that most of her is armored, except for some sort of leggings she's wearing. But the rest of it seems to be plates. I mean, it's good they still have spandex after the apocalypse. Can't have been that much of an apocalypse. But, yeah. No, as I said, it's just some preliminary base coats. Not sure these will be the final colors. But I think in general, some sort of bronze or gold or at least yellow metallic for the armor and some silver metallic for the weapon would be nice. The other dude here is... I just put some green on his mohawk because I had some on my palette and I thought, well, let's see how that looks. Not sold on it completely, but, you know, if he's got a weird hairstyle, maybe he's colored it weirdly as well. Also here, the purple cloak is simply because I had some purple left over on my palette. That might change, not sure. Tricky thing about this figure is that she's clearly wearing a glove on her right hand. It's unclear whether the left has one. She can't really finger the frets on the lute with a glove on, so presumably it isn't, but then she can't really pick the strings with a right hand glove either, so the logic of the sculpt leaves something to be desired. But, well, we'll see what we do. The other two, these two have been even less done. I just put some metallics on there a little bit. Oh, and I noticed I should put some of that bronze metallic on this knee guard there. That is clearly has to be metallic. And I primed these. Well, first of all, we have the bones minis. Here is the troll. Here is the, I think it's called the tunneler. And this is the temple dragon, which is a really, really cool sculpt. I'm not sure what sort of dragon type it represents still, but we'll see what we make of it. And then we have the two Cyclops figures from Heresy Miniatures. They're very different, as I said. But interesting. This one, it shows both the pitfalls and the advantages of resin. It's a resin model, and it had some of the most horrendous mold lines I've ever seen. Well, you can perhaps notice that the insides of his calf here looks kind of squared off and weird. This is because there was major mold slippage on the insides of his legs. It left huge chunks that I had to scrape down. Luckily, his legs are really beefy anyway. I mean, even though I removed it like a millimeter of material, you can't really tell. His legs are still pretty thick, and that doesn't look too good, but oh well. Normally, if you look at him from above, you won't notice that. There was a choice of heads for this haft. I could have put an axe head on there, but I thought this flail looked cooler. And here we had a choice of heads. I definitely wanted one of the ones with horns, and I went with the open mouth one because, again, I think that looked cooler. This is a metal cast, and no mold lines worth mentioning. However, the fit, both arms are separate pieces, and hopefully it's disguised now by the primer, but I had to do some major gap filling at the joints because the arms did not fit perfectly. Yeah. Those are the works in progress. And let's see if we need to add any more projects for next week. We'll see after the break. Well, as I look back on the year that was, you'll notice that as I said, I wound up in the black. 8 more minis painted than purchased. Well, it's an improvement over the massive negative numbers last year. And the good trend is that I purchased fewer minis in 2018 than any other year since I started tracking it. I've been tracking since 2015. And I've managed to curb my buying impulses somewhat. Not sure if that trend will continue next year because, as I've warned you, the Bones 4 Kickstarter arrives sometime during spring, and that's a massive dump of minis. Unfortunately, my painting is also slowed down. I mean, sure, this year's total painted is about on par with last year, but both of those are way below 2015 and 2016. I think this might be because I've run out of miniatures to speed paint very, very quickly, and I've been putting more time into each model. That must be the reason, or maybe it's just that I found less time for painting and I've been doing other stuff with my free time. But yeah, the challenge for next year is to keep a painting pace that at least will match that huge influx of Bones minis. And possibly, I'll speed paint some of those because they don't maybe deserve any better. But on the other hand, Reaper has mentioned that a lot of that range, a lot of the Bones 4 range will be in their new material that they call Bones Black, which isn't actually going to be black. It's going to be a dark gray color, and it's going to be a harder plastic that will hold the detail better, and they will have fewer mold lines and less slippage, they promise. And if that turns out to be true, well, then maybe I won't be able to treat them as roughly as I have Bones of the past. We'll just have to see. Anyway, I did in the last final days of the year receive some new minis that I need to show you. That's why the number purchased went up a bit since last week. Let's go over to the unpacking. And guess what? The week after Christmas, I got my first Christmas present. Well, not really, but the first present to myself of miniatures. This is a order of miniatures from Reaper. I placed 3 orders during December to get their various promotional minis. I realized I didn't really need to do that, but because they made them all available at the end, but oh well. Anyway, what is in here? Well, first we can save this. I think we'll save this for last. I got some dragons. I got a shadow dragon. I got a fire dragon in Bones. I got the Pathfinder Red Dragon, also bones. This is one of the very first bones dragons, actually. I got, it doesn't say here, oh, it says here, Stormwing the dragon, which is a blue dragon. And then there were, and I also bought this special Christmas theme mini, Mrs. Claus. I already have this Santa Claus from the Chronoscope range. For some reason I didn't have his Mrs. Now I got her. The promotional mini of the day was the Gnome Tinkerer, and the promotional mini of the month was Karindra Thistlemore Fighter. And now let's see what's in this Christmas sampler. I think I've already opened this, cheated a little bit. Well, there's a little Christmas card. Season's greetings. Well, a nice message, and a picture of Sophie here. So what's in here? Some candy, a couple of paints, Coal Black and Snowdrift White, which is a very, very light gray blue, and the Coal Black I think is a very dark gray black. I'm not sure if there's it looks like there might be some blue in there. Not sure. Some more candy, a new Christmas ornament, a green one. I had the red one since previously. And a total of 6 Bones minis, of which, let's see, this one, 3. Well, these 4 I've painted before. This one is new to me, as is this one. This is a sort of big head. Where was I? Oh, yes. Because these minis are here, I think I might as well paint them up. So, my new project for prepping for next week will be these 6 bones. Well, it's all going to be bones, but these 6 humanoid minis. Oh, it's the fly. I see it now. As well as some dragons, and I'm going to get... I need some blue dragons, so I'm going to paint blue dragons. This is the biggest blue dragon, Stormwing. He's really, really big and beefy. And actually, the Pathfinder Red Dragon is not a red dragon. I mean, if you look at the sculpt, you can't see it here because you can't quite see the head. But it has a quite sizable... Oh, there it is. There you can see the head. Quite a sizable nose horn. And the way dragons are depicted in Dungeons & Dragons, a big nose horn, rhino horn like that, that's a blue dragon. Red dragons have little stubby horns. They look like... Well, see this one. This one doesn't... Well, this one isn't really a red dragon either, because if you go back to the original metal sculpt this is based on, it's called an ice dragon. There's a completely different sculpt called a fire dragon. So this should actually be a white dragon, which means I'm putting this aside for the moment, for when I decide I need some white dragons. The shadow dragon, I don't know. I might prep and paint it. I'm not sure what I would paint it as. It's kind of different from most other dragons in that it's smoother. It's not as scaled. But, well, I'll think about it. These 2 are definitely Christmas themed, so I'm putting those in the box for next year, next December, next Christmas time. And what else we got? This one. Oh, what the hell. I'm going to receive multiple copies of this one, so I might as well paint one up already. At least one. Let's prep that one. And, oh yes, of course, because I'm painting blue dragons, I'm picking up this I did not get this in this package. It's been lying around for quite some time. It's the Storm Dragon Hatchling, the metal version. I have a Bones version painted up already, actually. But I'll paint this one. Same color as the other two blue dragons, the bigger ones. I don't really have a medium-sized one, but well. What can you do? What can you do? And yeah. That will be everything for next week, I think. Maybe? We'll see. But that's it for this video in any case. So, this is Dakian saying Happy New Year and see you next week. Bye-bye. And next year. Haha.